This is Lucky with Lucky Sevens Tarot, and today I want to talk to you guys because I just got done doing a really long emergency reading for someone, and it was a lot about healing. And it prompted me because I feel like this individual needed so much of the information that was like coming out. It prompted me to want to do a video for you guys to talk to you about healing, about pain, from relationships, from dealing with trauma in relationships. So if that interests you, stay tuned because we're going to kind of get into this a little bit. All right. Pain is not in any way meant for you to suffer or struggle, right? Pain is meant to set you in motion. Pain is meant to teach you something. I feel like we live in a very uncomfortable situation in our lives, you know, for many of us. And what I mean by uncomfortable, we learn to get okay with just being uncomfortable, with working 8 hours, 12 hours a day, coming home, being tired, being lethargic, not really living in our truest potential for a lot of us, being unhappy with our relationships, but they're comfortable. I've gotten into a place where I'd rather be with this person than not be without them, but I'm not happy being with them, but I feel like I would be more unhappy being without them. Like, that's a level of discomfort that you feel on a consistent basis. And when that happens all the time and it becomes your life, you just become used to it. You become used to being uncomfortable, and that becomes a feeling and it changes you, okay? Pain in our lives, whether it's emotional or physical in some capacity, is meant to create a space, something dramatic happening for you to change, for you to level up, for you to take action, for you to get in motion to make different decisions. Okay, so let's say you've been broke. You know, when you were younger, you grew up in poverty and you realized how painful it was and you had to work really, really hard to become successful, okay, and to get a good job or whatever, right? You spent many years focusing on working hard to get where you are. And then suddenly you lose your job. Do you sit and bask in that, or is that such a painful memory of being broke, of not having, that you immediately jump into action to make sure that you can always stay ahead of the curve, okay? Pain changes people, and those changes help to either make you bitter and unhappy, and you can choose to do that and live in that space, or you can choose to make some choices for yourself that level you up and learn, so you learn those lessons that you're supposed to learn from the pain and take immediate action. That is so important, and that is the idea of what pain does to us, all right? We change through pain. So when you think about change, it does not, if you look at something and you see the negative aspect of it, you will feel the negativity from it, okay? And it's going to evoke a negative emotion for you. But when you see it and you see it as something positive, like, okay, I can choose to look at this as something hurtful and how dare they, and, oh my God, right? Or I can choose to see this as an opportunity for change and take action to prevent it from ever happening to me again. Instead of living in victimhood and allowing myself to be a victim to my circumstances, I have the control by learning what I need to learn from that pain, taking the action that I need to take from that pain and turning it into my power. And until you get right with your relationship to pain and how you choose to act towards it, you will not heal what needs to be healed within yourself to be able to level up. You will continue to experience those painful same situations over and over and over and over in different forms. Healing is a very personal process. And when you choose not to heal, especially when it comes to relationships, guys, when you do not take time to heal, when you do not take the time to focus on you and center yourself and get to a good place within yourself, all you are doing is attracting the same energy that you've dealt with in the past towards you. You have to look at the situations that you've been through that have caused you grief, heartache, and pain as opportunities for change. Opportunities. There's something in your life within yourself that needs to be adjusted, that needs to change in order for you to stop experiencing those same things over and over and over again. People say like, okay, there's women in the world or whatever that date a certain type of man. Like, oh, I can't find a good man. Every man I've ever been with has treated me like this, right? They've treated me like trash. And they've used me and they've abused me and they've this and they've that. But when you really take a deep look into that woman's life and you get to see her pattern of not healing self, not taking responsibility to heal yourself and focus on what you need to do to level up and getting into your center, but you're living in the pain that you felt from this past situation. You keep looking back so that you're not focused on what's coming towards you. When you're looking back in the rearview mirror at what happened in the past, whether it was past childhood pain, whether it was past relationship pain, and you're not focused on your healing, the people that come into your life end up being the exact same type of people that you're trying to, that you had already dealt with, because you're so focused on that pain. You're focused on looking back at the past. So that's an energy that you put out into the universe. And that energy comes towards you. They come wrapped in a different package and may look different for the first 3 to 6 months, but end up being exactly the same type of person, maybe worse than the individual that you just left behind that hurt you, that damaged you and caused trauma in your life, because you were not centered within yourself to pay attention to the future so you could see those red flags as they were coming in. What happens is you're so focused on how hurt you are from this person that hurt you that's, behind you now, and what they did, and you're still living in that this person coming in, they're showing you their best self. They've got their selling face on, right? And then they feel so good because you're still living back here. You're still living in the pain, that the trauma that was caused to you. And this person comes in and they feel like a soothing balm, okay? But then what happens when you get 6 months down the road, a year, 2 years, whatever down the road, and you really get to see who this individual is, that soothing balm, you're starting to realize, oh my God, now it's burning really, really bad. It's not soothing, it's burning, okay? Because you were not focused on enough on yourself and in the future to be able to see the red flags that they showed you in the beginning. You were still focused on trauma. You were still focused on a past situation. You had blinders on, and you were using someone else's energy to try to heal yourself. And all that really does is put a Band-Aid on a bullet wound, guys. You really have to focus whenever you get out of relationships that were bad or traumatic or what have you. You need to take time for you. You need to take time to focus on feeling better. You have to take time to focus on being single. And single is not a bad thing. It doesn't mean you're going to be single forever. It just means that this is a time when you get to date you. This is a time when you get to figure out what you like. You get to take your power back. Turn that pain into power. You know, if you gave up too much in that relationship, take that time to focus on what maybe decisions that you made that you maybe don't want to make again, so that the next person that comes in doesn't have the same opportunity to hurt you, okay? Because you see the big red flags as they come in, instead of being turned around, facing the past and feeling like this person is going to be everything. In order to have a successful relationship, you have to be everything for yourself first. Because if you're depending on another person to come in and heal trauma, heal pain, heal wounds that are still open from previous relationships, wounds that they did not create, from previous relationships, from childhood trauma, from mommy or daddy issues, you're going to be sadly mistaken, because when that person does not meet those needs for you that you should be meeting for yourself, you will feel unloved, uncertain about the relationship. It's going to create uncertainty with yourself. And when you are uncertain, eventually that creates resentment and the relationship falls apart. It is so important to take that time to focus on you, to focus on your healing, to focus on, loving yourself, rather than trying to use someone else, getting under someone else to get over somebody from the past, or some sort of hurt and pain from the past. You have to have that space for you. People always say this, like, oh, you have to love yourself first before you can really love anyone else. But the truth is like, the relationship with you is so much more important than the relationship that you have with anyone else. We have relationships to everything and everyone around us. Relationships to money, relationships to pain, relationships to friends and family and our parents and everyone, right? We have to have a relationship that is solid for ourselves first. Otherwise, the relationship that you have to everything else around you will be affected. Your relationship with yourself has to be better than your relationship to your children, to your mom, to your dad, to your lover, to anyone. And it has to be of the utmost important, more important than any other relationship around you. And the reason for that is because when the relationship with you is off, you are off. You are out of balance. So it is so important. You have to make time for you. You have to stick to your boundaries. Create healthy boundaries for yourself and for other people. Because your relationship with you is what teaches other people what you will and won't accept and how to treat you. If you are allowing other people to come into your life and your relationship is out of balance with yourself, other people come in and then they wreak havoc all over your life, and then you're left wondering, why did this happen? This happened because you weren't solid with you. When you're solid with you, no one else can come in and do anything that creates imbalance in your life, because the minute that you see it, it's like a whole mush. Out of here. You cannot have successful relationships with other people where you are happy consistently. Not to say that you can't have relationships with them. You absolutely can, but they can be toxic. They can be very unhealthy relationships, unhappy relationships with people. And a lot of people live that way. They live in a space of discomfort. If you want to live in a comfortable place where you're happy on a more consistent basis than you are unhappy, where your vibration is higher, where you have a smile on your face more often than not, that first starts with you. And the only way to do that is to heal wounds that are open from family, friends, lovers, any sort of trauma. You have to deal with that so that you don't continue to experience those negative aspects of life by drawing it into you, because that is where you are focusing your energy. Anything that you focus on for an extended period of time will become an energy that you draw to you. And if you are drawing it to you, you can guarantee it is something within you that needs to be healed. It is not external to you. It is not so-and-so's fault that you're dealing with bullshit in your life. It is your fault, because you have to have and maintain a certain level of respect for yourself. You have to draw healthy boundaries. You have to practice self-care routines. What are self-care routines? Self-care routines is doing things for yourself that feel good to you. Not because somebody told you to do it, not because it is going to benefit anyone else, but because it benefits you. Whether that's taking a bubble bath at the end of the night, going to the gym, whatever it is that makes you feel good. That is your time that you spend with you. But when you spend time in a relationship and it is out of balance and creating imbalance with your relationship with you, where you don't have time for you, ultimately, one, it creates resentment in the relationship. Where resentment lives, the relationship will eventually fall apart until you deal with that resentment, okay? Until you unpack that baggage. So you cannot have an imbalanced relationship where you're spending too much time focusing on that person. You still have to create that space for you. You do that by saying, hey, this is my me time. Hey, I need to do X, Y, and Z today, so I won't be able to partake in this event, or I won't be able to see you today. Not only does that in relationships allow you to miss each other, especially in romantic relationships, but it also creates a level of respect, especially when a man sees a woman when a high vibrational man, I will say that, sees a woman who is taking care of herself and not so quick to focus on them, not so quick to be available to their needs without taking care of their own, that draws them towards you. It helps them to understand how to treat you, because they see you treating yourself that way. So when you start making concessions and not sticking to these boundaries, allowing the boundaries to kind of be crossed and making excuses for why that's being done, all of that, all you're eventually doing is teaching them that it's okay to cross your boundaries and there are no consequences for that. All you're doing is teaching them that you care more about them than you care about yourself. So why should they care more about you if you don't care that much about you? It is okay to say no. Like, no is not a bad word. If you don't want to do something, stop saying yes when you really want to say no. It is okay. We really need to get into the habit of creating time for us, time for our healing, so that even if, God forbid, you're in a relationship and it goes bad, it goes sour, right? That you haven't lost yourself so much that you look in the mirror and you don't even know who you are, because you put so much into someone else and didn't put anything into yourself. The relationship with you is of the utmost importance, guys. And that is what is going to help you to have healthy relationships with other people in the future, with love relationships, family relationships, all of that. creating healthy boundaries, loving you, not allowing people to be disrespectful to you, not letting them get comfortable in that disrespect, calling people out to the carpet, addressing issues when they happen, not allowing them to fester and get bigger and bigger and bigger and sweeping them under the rug until eventually you're tripping over the rug. These are things that are absolutely necessary for self-care. Even those people who don't like conflict, it is so important for you to address issues, and you can do it in a way where it's not conflictual, And if you're addressing issues with someone that creates a conflict where there really doesn't need to be one, then you probably don't need to be in that relationship anyway. If you can't express yourself to the person that you're dealing with or the person you're talking to and say, hey, this happened, and I don't want it to be an argument. I want us to kind of communicate about it so we can get some clarity here. If that turns into a big deal, bigger than what it needs to be, then that's something that you need to really pay attention to. That is a red flag. But you can't keep wanting to have these healthy relationships and not be healthy, because you're depending on someone's actions or their presence in your life to heal you, and nobody can heal you but you. That is how that works. It is your responsibility to heal your pain, your trauma, okay? And that is how you do it. You focus on you. You do not have control over anyone else's actions. You don't have control over who they are and what decisions they make. You have control over who you are and what decisions you make. If they choose to do something that goes against the boundaries that you've set, well, what are the consequences to this? And are you sticking to those consequences so that they know how serious you are about those boundaries? Or are you making concessions because you love them, and then you end up being this prisoner to this loyalty and this love that you have, and it makes you resentful, and your relationship is going to end eventually because of that resentment that's living there. So you may as well knock it out as it comes, deal with the problems as they come in a more healthier way than letting it sit, letting it fester, saying, oh, it doesn't bother me, and kind of just going with the flow, not wanting to rock the boat. Sometimes you have to rock the boat. Sometimes in order to heal things or to work through things, you can't let it fester. You can't let it grow to be super big. Otherwise, you have this whole other issue of blowing up, because that's what happens. When a volcano, when the lava gets too hot, what happens? It explodes. So when you eventually get too upset, too resentful, it can be the smallest minute thing that this person does that you explode over, and they're looking at you like, oh my gosh, what did I do? It was just something super small, but you haven't discussed the 50 other things that you were upset about that you could have gotten clarity on in 20 minutes and kept it moving. But now you're so angry and so fed up that it ends up being this huge explosive situation because you're lacking the foundation of the relationship with yourself. And the relationship with yourself sets the precedent for your relationship with every person around you, everyone, not just people, but also your relationship with yourself sets the precedent to your relationship with money, your relationship with pain, your relationship to love, like how you deal with love, how you receive and give love. And if you don't know that, that's definitely something that you need to really read up on, look into. Think about it, guys. Even when we think about love, we think about it from our own perspective, okay? Love means something different to every single person around you, all right? If you ask 20 different people, you're gonna get 20 different answers about what love means to them, okay? And the way that we love people and the way that we receive love from people changes with the traumas that we're dealing with. 9 times out of 10, if you were dealing with someone who was a cheater and a liar for however long and they hurt you really bad, but you never dealt with that hurt, you're going to believe that every man is a cheater or every person that you deal with is a cheater. When you get into a relationship and you're unhealed and you don't have a healthy relationship with yourself, you're going to be insecure. You're going to pass those insecurities off onto your partner, accusing them maybe of things that they haven't done, pushing them away because you haven't dealt with your insecurities from the past. But then that is your idea of love, and it changes you. You have to be centered. You have to deal with the pain, the hurt, the frustrations, the trauma that you've been through so that you can be in your ideal space and see every person for who they are and treat them accordingly and have healthy relationships with people. These things are pivotal to your growth and success as a human being, okay? And when you experience more pain, more trauma, and it's continuous and it's over an extended period of time, you definitely need to take space for yourself, okay? And not allow anyone to take up your space by distracting you from your healing process, all right? A lot of times, all that does is hinder and drag out the process of healing that is necessary for us and our own evolution, okay? All right, guys, I hope that was helpful for you. It was definitely something that was on my heart to deliver. So back to the readings. I will see you guys for October readings coming soon. Thank you guys so much. I love you. Peace, love, and blessings to you always. Bye-bye.